Welcome to A Lunch with Biggie, a podcast about small business and creatives sharing their stories and inspiring you. My guest today is an Orlando Sentinel Culinary Hall of Famer. He's a published author, he's a civil engineer, he's the creator of Tasty Chomps, an Orlando food blog dedicated to finding the tastiest bites and helping you discover mom and pop spots. Please welcome someone that makes Orlando a better place, Ricky Ly. What's going on, Ricky?
Hey, Big, how's it going? Good to see you. Finally, we're doing this.
Good.
It's been a bit.
Finally, man. Finally. I've been, every time I see you, I think I've brought it up because I've been wanting to chat with you and have discussions about Tasty Chomps and your food journey. So I truly appreciate you taking the time to chat with me. What and enjoy a lunch break with me. What's your go-to lunch or sandwich?
I really like, speaking of Deli Desires, they got really good sandwiches over there. Like the Big Mac is one of my favorite, the pastrami with all the lettuce and it's like
Oh yeah.
mock Big Mac. It's good. What else for lunch? I love to get, let's see, what else? Around, I'm going to Mills 50 to the Mills Market today for lunch, meeting some buddies over there. And so, get some Kai Chinese barbecue with rice and stuff. By Waterford Zen Dumpling, I was there like twice a couple weeks ago for soup dumplings.
Wait, a couple of weeks ago, didn't they just open?
They opened it, I think, like a month or two now. So yeah.
Okay.
Very recent, yeah.
Okay.
So, but definitely check it out if you haven't yet. It's over in Waterford. I think
Waterford. Yeah, it's on my list.
Yeah,
it's on my list. I've definitely been wanting to do it. Okay, so during my long intro, I know you started in 2008. You started and founded Tasty Chomps. How did you come up with the idea? And then tell people a little bit about it if people don't know anything about it, which they probably do if they live in Orlando.
So let's go back to how I started. Well, my parents were refugees from Vietnam, right? And in the 90s, they had a little Asian market growing up and grew up in that market down in South Florida and West Palm Beach. And then later on, my dad started a little restaurant. And so I was like, oh man, I wish people knew about this restaurant. And so when I was at UCF, I actually wrote for the UCF newspaper, Central Florida Future at the time, a little food reviews and things like that. The first one I ever wrote was called a place called On Mall. I'm not sure if you remember that. It was an Indian place right across from UCF, and delicious lentil soup and things like that. But after I graduated, I couldn't write for the Future anymore, so I started my blog, and it's kind of a creative outlet for me. Not saying engineering is not creative, but after work, you got to eat anyways, and you got to record it because I literally have like a 2-week attention span of memory, so that's why I started recording it and never stopped. Apparently in 2012, I was approached by a publishing company to write a book called The Food Lover's Guide to Orlando. And so that's, I think in 2013, that's when the book came out. And so ever since then, I've had a encyclopedic knowledge of the restaurant industry in Orlando. And it's been an honor to help share stories about places that you might not know about, and just bring attention to great places around. And it's been a great journey. I mean, with the Michelin Guide and James Beard and things like that, the past 10, 20 years, we've always had great food. It's just that they haven't had attention. But, even now with these recent recognitions, I think really helps people step up a little bit more too. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right about it. And that was one of the great things I saw, that I loved how you started it at UCF. Obviously, go Knights. You and I are fellow alums. One of the things that so I'm assuming it came from your family, but what is it about food that you love so much? Like, what is it? Is there something about it that you're drawn to?
I think that's a great question. Like, why do I do what I do? And I think a lot of times it comes down to connecting people, communities as refugees, coming to a strange land with nothing in their pockets, right? My family were strangers in a strange land, and they started that little market, and it really became a community hub where people came together around food to pick up produce, but also to share stories and gossip about the land, back home and things like that, or what's coming up. And so, even with the foodie forum, the Orlando Foodie Forum on Facebook, it's kind of a community hub where people come together, share stories, and break bread, really. And the first thing you ever learn about different cultures is really, besides curse words, is the food, right? The food, Italian
Exactly.
food, Chinese food. And it's a common base for everybody to come around together as human beings and share in the good things in life. That's why I do what I do, really. I mean, so connecting
No,
people.
and that's one of my favorite things that you do. How so? I've always, I will say, this is one of this is one of these where I've always wanted to ask you, because we've known each other for years. So like, you have, so full time you do civil engineering, but then, and I know you're on numerous boards, like all around. Every time I see something, you're on some board. You're on a board, on various boards in the city. You have a family. You run Tasty Chomps. How the heck do you do it? Like, how are
Um,
you balancing it all, and getting that flexibility to be able to do that and go to like all these things that are happening? There's always new places. I always see you around. You or Tiffany, I see one of you guys always
yes.
around. Like, how are you guys pulling? How are you balancing it and doing all of this at once? Because Tasty Chomps is huge. I mean, you're constantly somewhere and doing something.
Well, I do appreciate it. Definitely thanks to my team, Tiffany and other folks who help me out, because I can't be everywhere at once. And so Tiffany helps out a lot, and other folks too, Tasty and some folks who are able to go when I can't go. I try to make the most of my lunch, like, hey, I'm going on lunch and try to do place out, during the lunch break. And boards, really, the board meetings are like either at like 7 in the morning or like virtual during lunch. So thankfully, it's very flexible that way. And I try not to put too much on my plate. And of course, family time is so important. After, the end of the day, I definitely don't want to, do anything else besides be with the kids because they're only kids for so long. So I try to be efficient with my time as much as possible, but I do get a lot of help, thankfully. So it's not just one person. A team. Yeah,
Okay.
but when you do what you love, it doesn't feel like any time at all, right? But I do
No,
get
I
less
get it.
sleep, but I mean, I really operate on 5 hours of sleep, regardless, maybe six. But that's how it is. Like even if I have nothing else to do, I just like somehow I only get 5 to 6 hours of sleep. So just keep going. There's just
It's
so
just,
much, and our time on Earth is so limited, right, Biggie? So you never
it
know
is.
when tomorrow may be our last day. I mean, honestly. So my father passed away 12 years ago now, at the age of 51, to lung cancer. And so it's like, well, in his honor, in his memory, I try to live and make the most of life and make sure, I leave the world a better place than I found it.
I love that, man. I love that. So I know obviously the life of a foodie or foodie influencer is very competitive. And there's quite there. You probably have seen quite a few come and go in the last 15 years. And I know, you've been doing it for so long. You've been doing it for over 15 years. I didn't want to do full on accurate math, so I fit 15 because it's nice and round. What do you think has been your recipe for success?
Yes, I think the biggest thing is to, not to compete against others, but compete against yourself, to be better today than you were yesterday and tomorrow better than today. And so just, I think, adaptability and learning and evolving, back in the day when we were blogging, it was just words and then became pictures on Instagram and now there's videos. It's like, oh gosh, there's so much stuff. But, you're always learning. It's a lifelong process to keep learning and adapting and evolving. And just taking it as it goes. I definitely recommend this book by Rick Rubin. It's called The Creative Act, I think it is, and it's basically about how to tap into creativity because that's where we are, creator, content creators, etc. How to tap into that intuition and that place of compassion and just to bring out creativity, I guess, so it's like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
I'd actually never read the whole book. I was just like opening it up and a page would come to me and then it inspires me to, create a video or something like that. And all of a sudden it's like millions of views. I'm like, what the heck, it's going on. But definitely check that book out, The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. He was a music producer for Run DMC and a bunch of other, I think
Okay.
DC Boys too. So a bunch of other different acts. And he says when you create, it all comes from intention. What is the intention that you're trying to come from when you create? So, and you're never too young and you're never too old, right? So you're always learning. So I know there's one gentleman, you should talk to him. His name is Joseph Wynn. He lives in Avalon Park and he's like 26 years old. Okay, maybe older. He's a multi-million book selling author. He writes books about self-improvement. And I'm like, what the heck? A 26-year-old? How the hell? But I actually had coffee with him a couple of months ago, and he explained to me a story how I'm not sure if you know Lily's Bridal, which is a local
Yeah,
bridal shop and stuff. His
yeah.
parents own it, and he actually helped them with their marketing, and then he started his own companies and stuff like that. And then he's wrote this book and about, I think, you're not your thoughts, or you're not what you think and stuff like that. It's just about, I guess, what's it called, mindset, mindset about different things. And it's pretty good book. And he sold like 1.5 million books on Amazon, and TikTok was a big one too. Apparently TikTok shop is huge. And then so and he just does what he wants. He basically can pursue his dreams. And when you're pursuing your dreams, it's really like not working, right? So it's pretty cool. So
When you create content, because you said it's about intention, so I'm kind
yeah.
of curious, what is your thought process when you're creating content, like for talking about a restaurant or talking about a place you ate at? What's usually your intention, like, or your mindset? Is it like, what is it, something that I would, like, someone who's never heard of it would want to know, or like, what is it, like, like, what is your usual, like, intention when you create when you create content for Tasty Chomps?
It's like coming from, like, hey, sharing about this new place I found, really, like, hey, check this out. This is something new, or something different about this, and check it out. I mean, here's what's cool about it. And then um, that's it. And you also got to remember, people have very short, not just attention spans, but also short time, because, like, hey, don't waste my time, right? So I just want to make sure I don't waste people's time when I create stuff too. Like, okay, this is a waste of time. Next, But hey, just
Yeah,
tell me, why is this important? Why is this? Why do I need to watch this, or why do I need to know about this? And boil it down to that, and that's it. Yeah. So that's my intention, is to get to the point.
I like that. No, that is very true though. When you're looking at it, you kind of want to know, like, is it good? Is it not good? Not like and I understand SEO and all that stuff. Like, a lot of people, like, when you get it for a recipe and you're like, I really like this recipe, and then they give you like the whole story, and then they're like,
Well,
the prairie was nice and green and it was a sunny day, and you're like, what are you doing? And it's like, and I know for SEO they want like 300 words, and you're like, I just want the recipe, man. I just want
that's
the
how they do
recipe.
it. Yeah, they
Yeah.
do. Yeah, they do that because they try to keep you on there as long as you can, and that
Yep.
impacts the ranking on SEO and stuff.
For
So
sure.
like, oh,
For sure.
actually, it's interested. But yeah, it's pretty funny.
So I appreciate how, like, that's one thing that I always appreciate, is the fact that you show love to the local mom and pop, which obviously has led to many great opportunities. I know that one of the opportunities that I kind of wanted to talk about, just like, like what your thoughts and how it kind of went, was like one of the shows obviously that you got to be on was, I've seen you on a variety of different things. I've seen you on some local stuff, but one of the ones that most recently happened was the Netflix episode in Orlando, Somebody Feed Phil. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about that experience, the opportunity to showcase a now Michelin gourmand Vietnamese spot, Banh Mi Boys. So I kind of wanted you to kind of talk a little bit about like that experience, but then also being able to kind of showcase like a Vietnamese spot, and like, because that's one thing I think that you do really, like, you're very good at like showcasing variety, but then like you're kind of like, hey, like, I'm like, I want to showcase like some of the good food that you may be missing out, and things like that. And I kind of wanted you to talk a little bit about that.
Well, growing up, one of my first memories of Orlando was not just going to Disney World, right? But after Disney World, we would drive over to the Mills 50 district and check out the markets and pick up groceries. Because, we're in West Palm Beach. Unfortunately, there's not that many options and variety and diversity, right? So we were able to go to Vietnamese restaurants, and at the end, pick up some banh mi to go. And so those are some of my favorite memories of Orlando. And maybe that's what drew me to come here when I went to UCF, right? And still to this day, there are people that drive 2, 3 hours to Orlando every weekend. They get their food, their produce, nail salon supplies. 50% of the nail salon industry is Vietnamese, right? So, and
Mm-hmm.
so that was really cool that I was able to share that as part of that next Netflix show, Somebody Feed Phil, meeting Phil Rosenthal, one of the creators of Everybody Loves Raymond. He's just like he is on TV, too. He's a big kid, so friendly. How that opportunity came about, I think, obviously one opportunity opportunity leads to another, right? Everything builds up to where you are today. So over the years, I've helped visit Orlando actually with, food writers. When they come from all over the world, I would help them by introducing them to places in the Mills City district or wherever. And when that opportunity came out, they're like, Ricky, would you like to do this? I'm like, all right, sure, let's go. And then so, I just showed up and we did it. It was really impromptu. There was like no script. We were like, hey, talked about the history of the district and, how it started after the Vietnam War. It started with one family and their family's family. And, it's kind of blossomed out there. And it was so cool that in the past years, since it was aired, the market, Tin Hung Market, actually transformed into the Mills Market now, which is like a food hall because the
Phenomenal.
older generation is now retiring. They're like, hey, we're done, let's go. And their kids are off doing other things. And luckily, Cecilia Nguyen, who is the owner of the Tin Hung Jewelry Store, her husband is Johnny Tung, who is of the Bento Restaurant Group, who's a big restaurateur. Of all the match made in heaven, this was really one of the best outcomes of this evolution. Is basically now they're not only keeping the banh mi boy concept and evolving it, and now they have French dip banh mi's and other things like that. But now there's Uni Girl, which has also got the Michelin Guide Bib Gourmand. There's Kai Kai, Michelin Guide recommended, a Saigon Snow, and now they're having a Japanese curry pop up, sushi pop up. So it's very a good example of the evolution of the community as time goes on. Things transform and are evolving, from one thing to another, and gets better and better. So it's pretty cool to see that they were recognized this year, and it started as a market in the 1980s, 40 years ago, over 40 years ago, and now they're
Wow.
recognized internationally. So pretty cool.
No, no, I love it, dude. That was one of those things where I was like, I love the fact that it's like, it's funny because like right before, like you said, like it was like right before if you were to watch that episode and then go in, you're like, well, this is not the same place because I know because like I've been there, I was there before,
Yeah.
to what it's become now as the Mills Market. And
Right.
I think it's a great spot to visit and be able to visit and check out.
Oh.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about Orlando foodie culture. So,
Mhm.
what is it? What's one? Tell me a little bit about what are some things right now that you're loving right now?
Oh wow. Well, there's just so much love, compared to 20 years ago, man. It was rough. Like I remember going out for a special night was going to like Cheesecake Factory or something like that, and now
Yep.
there's chefs tasting, there's things that, even soup dumpling was hard to get 5 years ago. I remember we were joking on the foodie forum, like, hey, if you want to get good soup dumplings, hop on an airplane and go to New York because that was it. That's all the only option you got because the soup dumplings here were not existent. But now we've got them. They're making it by hand in front of you, in front of a window. We've got Szechuan. We've got all sorts of Filipino ice cream shops. We got Michelin Guide recommended Filipino and Vietnamese restaurants. I mean, come on. And so it's just amazing time to be. A lot of collaboration too. The chefs are always working together to create new things or to collaborate and really come together as a community. So it's pretty awesome, kind of the culture that we have here, where people are trying to help each other as much as they can, right? Obviously there's a lot of issues regarding inflation and labor and ingredients costs, especially, and so it's tough. It's a tough market, but people come together, and the local Orlando community really supports the diversity as well. So that's always great to see. And I do encourage everybody listening, hey, just go out and support your local mom and pops, especially right now. It makes a big difference. So one thing I do hope everybody gets a handle on is, obviously the rents are going crazy too, and so um, the prices are a little bit high right now. So come on, calm it down, everybody. If I'm going to New York and it's cheaper in New York, what's up? Yeah, so take care
Yeah,
of
that is
your.
nuts.
It's tough. It's tough. But obviously, we want to make sure everybody's compensated well and things like that, and earn a living. So that's really important. But it's tough, because some people probably are cooking at home more, because it's just unaffordable. But it's a whole interconnected ecosystem out there. So hopefully, things calm down. Yeah.
What frustrates you about the Orlando foodie culture?
There you go. That was a big frustration
The
right
rent,
there. The
the rent,
cost, yeah, what
rent and
rent for
cost. Yeah,
and it really, yeah, trickles down and stuff. And obviously, I'm not a restaurateur that knows all the economics, but I think I think I think rent is a huge part of it, really. I know in Waterford, for example, the owners of the shopping complex like increased rent by 10 times, and so a few restaurants had to leave because it might be a way to force them to leave, right? But it's unsustainable, really. The greed, unfortunately, is something not cool with, especially with landlords.
What I think, and I think what ends up happening as well is the fact that they increase it to a point where it takes out the mom and pop, like the local little shop that wants to
Mhm.
have an opportunity in Waterford, and then you end up having like some other chain show up, which is fine in some cases, but at the same time, it's like that's not really what a lot of people want. They want a mom and pop or a local concept to be kind of be able to have a place to be able to go to. So that's always a
Mhm.
tough one. What do you think is in the Orlando foodie culture? What's underrated? What's something that more people need to go and try?
A lot of the places are getting really good love too. Like Walla La right now, the hand pulled noodles. There's a line out the door. Zen dumplings line out the door. Okay, let me tell you. The Good Salt Group, they're getting underrated by Michelin guy. It's a
Yes,
travesty what they're doing. Like, how are they not recognized by now? What I mean, yeah, obviously chefs. It's good to have. Regardless of your opinion about it, I think they definitely deserve to be at least recognized, foreigner too, as a chef's tasting experience. For like more like mom and pop places, I really like Nile Ethiopian over there on I Drive. A little bit quiet over there. Sometimes people forget, some of the long time mom and pops and need some love too. I love their veggie platter. If you ever like stewed cabbage and collard greens, is so delicious. Also, Dong Market on Mills, even though their family owns half of Mills, the market has been around 40 years, right? So sometimes people forget, in addition to Lottie and Ensign and the iFresh and all the new big ones, the old ones are still there. And so they definitely need your patronage as well if you're able to help. I think Dong opened in 1982, so
wow.
43 years ago, right? So, I mean, don't forget about him. Help him out. Every dollar counts. So, yeah.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah. Can you tell people a little bit about, because you've talked about the foodie forum and all of that. Like, can you tell people a little bit why it's so important to build a community?
Oh, for sure. Community is great, especially just bouncing ideas off. You can't be everywhere at once, right? Like I said earlier, I can't be everywhere at once. So it's great to have like a wisdom of the crowds kind of thing where you have folks helping each other out. And if there's an emergency, especially in those times, like, hey, this restaurant is having trouble and stuff, it's great to have that community built in to help support them where you could and things like that. And so it's great that I really think, one person is great, but then when you combine the efforts of, two, three, four, ten, hundreds, thousands of people moving in one direction, you can have a really huge impact in your community in, Central Florida, and it makes a difference. So for sure, it magnifies really.
It does. It does. How do you deal? I'm always kind of curious on like, especially when you have like a forum and then the fact that, like on social or, or even, like on your website, how do you handle the hate? There's always someone on the social online forum. There's always someone wanting to say something negative. How do you usually handle that type of stuff?
Okay, well, I don't like to, police, free speech, but we're here to help out the mom and pops, right? I mean, really, we're not trying to tear people down. We're trying to build people up. If you got criticism, I always feel like, hey, it's always better to criticize in private and then praise in public, right? So say you have an issue, please bring it up to the managers, to the owners, personally, one on one, so that they are aware of it. Try to do that first before you put it in a public forum because it's huge. It makes a difference, unfortunately, for better or for worse. And so I
Mm-hmm.
definitely encourage folks to, hey, if you got an issue, please make sure you reach out to them. And so obviously it's not your responsibility to do that. The owners as well. Give them a chance. It's rough. Then obviously if there's a pattern like, hey, dude, there's some issue here. They'll probably close themselves without our help, right? So because it's a pattern. There's enough negativity in the world, I feel. Obviously, if it's constructive criticism and things like that, let's go. Hey, here's what's good, here's what they could do better, blah blah. But if you're just ragging on them, like, come on, guys, it's not good for anybody, right? So it's just pointless. But if it's constructive, then go ahead. But everybody's going through something you don't know, right? And so also
Yeah.
another issue is that people don't realize how they sound online. Like, bro, would you say that in person? Think about it. Would you say this in person rather than online? Because there's a veil of anonymity.
Yep.
Please. think about it before you type, before you're like, look, I know, some people just like type what they think, but hey, would you say that to to person in public? No, but hey, how
Yeah.
about you don't do that? How about you don't do that on the forum too? But yeah, those are some of my pet peeves. But Joe Cerubo, I'm not sure if you had him on the show yet from the Orlando Asian foodies. They have like zero tolerance. If you're like trashing on them, like get out of here. Which is they're right too. So, and I do that sometimes. Like some people are just too toxic. Unfortunately, they gotta go. It
Yeah, and
is.
that's kind of the tough part. Like, I understand having the constructive criticism. I can understand maybe you don't like something that, or like someone says, "Oh my God, this place is the best," and you're like, "No, it's not." Like, I don't know if you really need to. Like, you could have you. I mean, everyone's got a preference. Like, some people love Taco Bell. And they're
Yeah.
like, this is like, they're like, this is like, I love Taco Bell, and I'm like, I don't really like Taco Bell, but I'm not. I'm like, but that's your taste, not my taste. I'm like, I just don't. But I don't have to be in. I don't have to be in every conversation, so I don't have to be in that conversation to be like Taco Bell sucks. I don't have to be that guy.
Scroll
I mean,
on.
I have a, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
enjoy what
We
you
have
want
a
to like.
rule.
My parents,
Yeah, we have a rule.
yeah,
Don't yuck others yum. Don't yuck others
yeah.
yum. So if you like it,
That, and
yeah,
that's
cool. If you don't
exactly the
like it,
case, man. That's exactly the case. My dad loves Subway. I'm not a Subway fan, but I'm like, Dad, enjoy your Subway. I'm like, I'm not going to eat one with you, but I'll go enjoy your Subway.
there you go. So
Eh,
let's get lunch with Amy Drew. Get some coffee or
We
something. I don't
should.
know.
We should.
Have you
We
been to
should
Good
go get
Roast?
lunch. I have been to Good Roast. I love them. They're delicious.
They're really good. They're good. We can't go every day though, because I'll go broke.
Good.
What about have you been to like these house coffee parties, where they have like the house DJ house, pop it up like deeply and create coffee, where they have
I
DJs
have
with
not.
techno.
I've been to Create, but I have not been to their when they do the little pop ups with like the club. Which, by the way, is
Let's
something that I've
go.
seen. That's New York. New York does that. I see it in New York. I see. I because I actually sometimes a lot of times I'm streaming music and I'm like watching like these DJs that are like doing that in a coffee shop, which I think is phenomenal.
It's crazy how fast trends, travel nowadays. Within a day, trends, say from New York, would hit Orlando. Back in the day, like 10, 20 years ago, it would take freaking months. I remember the Cronut. I was like,
Yeah.
do we have it yet? And that one was pretty quick, a couple of weeks. But even Bobo, like, hey, you got Bobo yet? No, we got nothing. It would take forever for trends to come. But now things are instant.
Well, I mean, that's the beauty of social media, which definitely helps. What advice do you have would you give someone that wants to start something?
I'd say ask people, ask for help first. Like, hey, get your, understanding of it from A to Z. But really, the biggest thing is to start. Just do it. Just figure out, what's it. I'm not sure if you had, went to MBA school or whatever. It's called the MVP. Most viable product. It's like it doesn't have to be perfect. Just get it out there and start doing it. Just improve it along the way. But a lot of people don't even start. So you guys gotta start and do it. Deli Fresh Threads. I know the T-shirt industry. My buddy, I'm not sure. Have you been to Impress Inc?
I have.
The
Those
T-shirt
guys are
company.
great.
Yeah, those guys are my fraternity brothers. They started in their garage in college. Especially in college, you have less to lose, right? You don't have family and bills as
Yep.
much, and so you're like, oh, let's just do this T-shirt thing. And now they've got this huge warehouse on Goldenrod and doing very well for themselves, and started from the garage, I mean, don't underestimate yourself, is what I'm saying. Your capacity and your capability is much more than you realize. I mean, Congressman Maxwell Frost, he was like 26 years old when he got elected to the Congress, I mean, speaking of politicians, right? There's a lot of not as qualified people as you out there. So just do if you want it, just do it. I mean, and then we'll figure it out along the way. But the biggest thing is just get started and don't underestimate yourself. I mean, you're much more worthy than you realize.
I love that. I love that. And I'm kind of curious, especially since you've seen and you've dealt with so many different like restaurants and things like that. When it comes to like in the world of like starting something food related, what do you think is something that you've seen people are missing or not able to do to be successful? And I know obviously there's cost and things like that, but there's other ways around it. Like you could do pop-ups and things like that. But what do you think are some of the things, what advice would you give someone, or especially like with you, when you see trends of people that aren't succeeding or missing the mark when they try to start their foodie journey with themselves?
Bring the anecdote of like, whatever someone wants to be innovative. Oh, we got to get an app for that. not everything's got to be an app, on your phone or whatever. It could be a website, it could be this or that. So definitely, this is probably a good question for John Rife over at East End Market, right? How to get
I'll be
started with
talking with
food.
him soon enough.
Okay, great. Yeah. So, I mean, do you really need to have a brick and mortar when you don't even have a concept yet? Have you tried to do pop-ups or like things like that? Oh no, we want this to be perfect, absolutely perfect. Well, perfect is never going to be attainable, but obviously you want to be, as detailed as possible, get your costs right and get your recipes right, etc., before you get started. But make sure you know what you're doing, right? But just I think some people want it to be picture perfect, and at the end of the day, they would have invested like $500,000 into something that they unfortunately haven't tested yet or don't realize is there a market for it. Definitely, pop ups are a great way to get started. Even you should definitely get Johnny Tongue on here from Mento Group. He's like had lots of different concepts. Some come and go, and some stay for a while. Talk to Mike Colantes too over at Saseki. That's another good one about how he's going through all the different things that he's popping up and things like that. And so it's tough, rent, food hall. Say you're going to a food hall, but oh gosh, by the way, they're charging you X amount, that's basically all your profit. So what are you doing? So it's tough. It's tough to say. I mean, I'm not a commercial realtor or whatever, so I can't
No, but
really
I love the fact
comment
that
on
you're
that.
hitting the spot on the pop-ups and stuff like that, because I think that's what happens is people have this, like, you can have, I tell people, I'll jokingly tell people, like, you could have champagne taste with a beer budget, and that doesn't mean that you can't start. It's way easier to start like kind of simple pop-up and build your way up than to go backwards. It's always a lot easier, especially like in my world. Like when I think of, like, people are going to expect a certain thing. As long as you're consistent providing quality product, quality food, quality goods, type of thing like that. And even if it starts in a pop up and you develop and you build, there's nothing wrong with that. But I do think that that's something that I think is kind of interesting when people, and just in general in business, have this, like, I want to start something, I want to do something, but then they have all these ideas, which is great, but they don't have a concept figured out or anything like that, and then they just kind of start throwing money and it's just kind of goes nowhere.
Exactly, yeah. And then they realize they hate it. Like what?
Yeah.
You're too late here. So I mean, it's not easy business. You got to spend a lot of hours, and it's not easy, but it's a labor of love for sure.
For sure, man, for sure. Where can people follow you? Give me and obviously we'll put it in the show notes, but where can people follow you? How can they support you? Where can they get all the Tasty Chomp information? Give everyone all the data points that they, as they're listening, if they haven't been following, they at least know to go and follow now.
I'm definitely on Facebook, the Orlando Foodie Forum. We're at Tasty Chomps on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. And so, yeah, all those things. We have a newsletter too. Sign up, our e-newsletter that goes out every couple weeks. And our website, of course, tastychomps.com. So that's the repository of everything. Yeah. And join the conversation on the forum.
I do love what Tasty Chomps does, what you do, and I think that's something that's why I've always wanted to chat, have people like just be able to chat and hear your story, just because you do such an amazing job on sharing these places and like shedding a light and turning on a light on some of these and giving a spotlight to these locations and these spots and just honoring and kind of supporting so many small businesses, which I think is so important. And that's why a reason a lot of times why I follow. That's why I follow you. That's why I follow Tiffany. That's why I follow, the Tasty Chomps on my thing, and I either save it or I share it, because I'm always waiting for your content to be able to provide like a good spot to go eat at, or because a lot of times you're there before I get to go there. And so I get to be able to enjoy it. So I definitely, I value so much the work that you do, because it's a lot of work, it's a lot of time, and it's a lot of content that's being produced. And as someone who doesn't produce enough content, I totally understand. I totally appreciate the fact that you're putting so much work into all of this, and to be able to create this community and this culture, because like a lot of people, and that's the reason why so many people come to you, and when you've built that reputation, because they know that you're a great spot and a great person to be able to kind of go to, a resource for when you're looking for food.
Becky, what are some of your favorites? My turn to ask you. What are some of your favorites right now in Orlando? Huh?
So my favorites right now, well, like obviously Mengs is a good one inside of iFresh, is one that I've been appreciated. I do love the Mills Market, like we've done Kai Kai, we've done Naguri Girl, we've done Bombay Boys. Usually what we do is I love those because when we go and we like buy like we like literally go, we like try to go to those spots. Like same thing, like recently just I haven't been in forever, been to Henry's Depot. So we went to Henry's Depot and we literally just like we're like, you know, my wife and I were like, okay, we're gonna get like one of everything, one of something at every single place. So it's like, and that's kind of the concepts that I love being able to do. So that's something that I've been kind of appreciating and doing a lot more of. It is difficult, like you said, with the fact of like pricing and cost. So like I'm trying to like we like literally have a running list. So what we'll do is we've got a running list in our notes section of like spots we want to go to. And so then when we have a date night or if we're in certain areas, we'll like look on our list to see what we can find because like I want to try to go also. And that's the hard part. Like a lot of times we tend to eat around our radius. So like, you know, and you and I live in the same area. So like we live like 15, 20 minutes to like everything is what I feel like. So a lot of times we can drive down to like, you know, to Mills or to, you know, Milk District and stuff like that. So that's kind of the beauty of it. Where's a spot we haven't been to, or where's a spot it's a mix of not just the new spots, but it's the old spots. And that's the big thing that I've been preaching, kind of like how you've been preaching, like, you know, mentioned, like it's the old spots. It's the spots where people like, you know, like like when you talk to pom poms and people are like, or you say, hey, have you been to pom poms? Like, oh, I've been there. Like, I've been there. I went there a long time ago, but I never went back. And then you're like, well, why not? Like, so a lot of times it's like, and they're like, oh my God, it's so good. And you're like, well, like, why aren't you going back? So for me, I'm trying to find those places that have been open for a while that I haven't hit. And I'm now trying to go back to those spots, you know, and that's like one place that I love, which is kind of a newish spot, but I liked it because I just like, I don't know if you've been to Taqueria Las Casuelas on it's on Colonial. Like that spot is like, I love that spot.
Tuesdays,
and then
3 tacos for $5.
That's
What the
nuts,
freak?
man. But
Where
it's
else would you go
so
for that?
freaking good. So good. And then
Let's go.
we should. The other spot that I like to go to is off of Goldenrod, and the name escapes me right now. It's a spot in the inside of like in that little Save-A-Lot on Goldenrod. I totally blank on the name, but it's like my favorites. It's like I like going there because they have like I'm trying to think of the name now.
What kind of
now
restaurant?
It's gonna kill me.
What kind of
It's an
restaurant?
Asian restaurant. It's got like
Is
everything from
Saigon
like
Noodle
it's
Grill?
got like yes, it might be that one. Is it like
Tiffany's
in the plaza
parents
where
used
it's
to own
kind of
that.
sketch? What?
Yeah, Goldenrod by Lake Underhill. Yeah, Tiffany's
Yeah.
parents used to own that Saigon Noodle Grill. Yeah. So
Yeah.
they've been around forever,
That
but
one's a good
there's
one.
been
And
different
Tiffany's
owners.
family owns the Saigon, the one on in
They
whatchamacallit. The
sold it
one
recently, so yeah, they
oh, they
sold
did.
it. They're always like they used to. I mean, they've been around forever. You know, like
Yeah.
the Z Asian owner, he told me
Yes.
Tiffany's dad picked him up from the airport in 1982 when they came to America. So
Really?
they've been around forever. So that'd be cool to talk to him, I guess. But you know, have you been to Zorba's on Lake Underhill as well?
Yes.
Zorba's Greek. That's a
Yeah.
good one. Okay.
Zorba's is
Have you
great.
been to International Food Market on Goldenrod? It's a little like halal market, but inside they have shawarmas, the best shawarmas in Orlando. Well, I have tried, but yeah, check it out. International Food Market on Goldenrod.
I will. You gave me a recommendation, and because of you, I went to it. It was a little market, the little market off of on Colonial near Avalon. It's
East Side
the name
Market, East
escapes
Side
me.
Asian Market.
Yes.
Yes.
I went because of you, and I got to go there, and it's a great little market. I love all those markets. I love all those markets just for the mere fact that one, like I love getting all different variety of flavors. I love being able to see all different types of ingredients, and to be able to go somewhere like that, to be able to see, you know, just to be able to try different things, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to try this. I'm going to go get this and try this, and you know, and experiment, or at least taste something, and then you're like, wow, I like this. Or if you go somewhere and you eat somewhere in a restaurant, you're like, well, I want to make it at my house.
Hey, have you been to Shaw's Halal on Colonial and like Rouse, right in front of Boardwalk Bowl? It's like a little
No, I
halal
haven't.
rice place. Yeah, check it out. It's
Is it
actually
good?
owned by Afghan immigrants, and the chefs are actually Afghan too. But they've got like gyro, meat and stuff, and chicken.
I'm
It's
all
almost like
about that.
tandoori chicken, and it's like tandoori chicken. And then they got the rice, but they load it up, bro. Like it's a good value. I'd say it's good enough for like 3 meals. I would say if you're not
Holy
too hungry, but
cow.
maybe definitely 2 meals. Definitely check it out. Shaw's Halal, and they're open until like 3 a.m. on the weekends, so it's dangerous.
Really?
Watch out.
Okay. I will definitely do
Very
that.
popular.
Ricky, I know you
Oh,
got
one
corporate work
more.
to do.
One more.
You
I
got one
gotta
more?
go. One more. Fora, Blue M Fora. Have you been there? They got like baklava, but they also have Turkish breakfast and stuff like that. So check it out. But yeah, I gotta go.
Really? Where's that one at?
Yeah, Goldenrod. Yeah, near Colonial.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Let me wrap up the show real quick before you hang up on me. That's our show for today. Thank you so much to Ricky Ly of Tasty Chomps for being on and having lunch with me. Definitely make sure to check it out. Follow him on social, all the different social platforms. Check out his website, sign up for his newsletter. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to subscribe, make sure to tell your friends. If you want to support me, check out my brand Deli Fresh Threads, do some shopping. Thank you. Until next time, keep eating sandwiches and follow your passion. Thanks everyone.